Greetings, it is your girl Melby Cook, and welcome to Hood Conversations, right? So, before we even dive into this segment of Hood Conversations, I have to remind the folks of why I decided to create this platform to begin with, right? So, a couple disclaimers: it is to spark real conversation in real time, right? So, I believe that most of us are so busy trying to be politically correct that we can't get to the actual solution to some of our issues, right? Or some of our things. So we have a tendency to talk around the issue. We have a tendency not to say what we really feel, what we really think, and we have a tendency not to challenge each other's thoughts. So listen, I'm going to put a disclaimer out there already. At some point, Trey and I might piss you off today, right? You might get a little aggravated, a little irritated. It's cool with us. Throw it in the comments so that we can talk about it, right? Because it's all about different perspectives. I honestly believe that there's no real right way or wrong way to do things. But what I do believe needs to happen is some level of consistency. Like a lot of times we do not commit to a thought. We don't think the thought out. It's good over here, but it isn't good over there. We'll use this opportunity to do one thing or another, right? So part of the reason that I wanted to have this discussion is because I be in these internet streets the same way that most of you are in these internet streets. And when I'm in these streets, I'm like, well, damn, what do people really want? What do the people really believe? Because one minute we're over here and we're like, oh, we want you to know that Black Lives Matter is a humanity issue, right? But then soon as you have somebody that come up and pop up and say, well, what about trans Black lives? All of a sudden it goes from not being a humanity issue to, oh, well, you know what? This is something completely and totally different because they be out here tricking niggas or dudes into taking them home. That's the same thing like white people say to us, well, what happened before the video started rolling? It must have been because they were a thug or must because they were a hoodlum or whatever they try to decide to use in the media today. So it's like, when are we going to start really being consistent with our thought process and consistent with how we want to address the issues? Now, let's be clear. I don't believe that there's one way to do things. And I also don't believe that you have to commit to all issues and show up marching and advocating for everything. But what I do believe is believe what you believe and ride that shit for real. Like don't get into the middle of it, and then when things get hot, you like, oh yeah, and I'm gonna throw it out there again. When it comes to like, I don't advocate or I don't show up for homosexuality or gay rights or whatever it is because I'm a Christian. Well, what are you gonna do that when it's in terms of all scriptures in the Bible, or you just gonna pick one random one that you probably haven't read? And we'll talk about that later. I don't want to go there just yet, right? But like, what are you really doing in these streets to be consistent? Because what happens is when you're inconsistent, it discredits everything that we stand for or that you say that you stand for. Inconsistency leads to a lack of credibility. When you are not who you say you are, when you don't show up for who you say you are as, then what happens, right? So like, I'll use a very plain example that I know most of you can relate to. Is like, people will say they want somebody who's loyal. They'll say that they don't like thieves. But it was cool as long as somebody's stealing something or doing something for your benefit. Yep. Like, do you really say like, oh, well, I got. When I was about that life, when I was hanging in those streets a little bit more frequently, when my karma stopped coming back to me, I wasn't over there like, oh my gosh, I don't know how this happened. I wasn't standing over there like, you know what? Oh, I got caught slipping, right? So let me just eat it. Are you eating it? Or are you complaining about it because you're inconsistent? So I just wanted to just give those things and throw those things out there. And I'm also going to challenge you to stay to the end, because I promise you that there's going to be some levels of this conversation that might make you uncomfortable. And there's going to be some levels of this conversation that you might not agree with. But I challenge you to stay with the end so that we can either have a discussion about it or that you might learn something that you haven't learned before. So Trey, how you doing this evening?
I am doing good. I'm out here in Oklahoma, working. It's so nice out here. I'll say that.
It's nice. Did you survive the travel?
I did. It was very different. I realized that I do need to go see a therapist. I think I'm suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. With all the race wars that's happened in the country, I didn't realize how traumatizing it has been for me until I stepped outside of my comfort zone of Philadelphia, which is primarily Black. and start traveling the world and seeing white people and noticing their privilege and noticing them not notice their privilege. And it just made me so anxious, and I wanted to like scream and yell at them and say stuff to them and hold them accountable. But I had on my work clothes and I had my company name here and my company name on my book bag. So I'm like, let me shut my fat ass the fuck up. And I shut my fat ass the fuck up.
What you say, you were branded and you're not about to lose your good job.
Yeah, you ain't gonna get these coins, bitch. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Not today. No. So I had to shut up. I really did. Like, I mean, it's crazy when you see all these situations with these Karens, like minding other people's business, like barbecue Becky and the pool bitch, all this stuff, until it happens to you. And I'm like on the plane, somehow I'm in the middle fucking seat, and there's two people on both sides of me. The row right behind me had one person in it. So of course, once that door closed and boarding was complete, I got my ass up and I moved to the row behind me. Mm-hmm. And I took the window, the guy that was there, he moved from the middle seat to the aisle seat. So now we have an empty space in between us, practice social distancing. Next thing you know, a white guy about 2 rows up across the aisle decides to stop the flight attendant as she's coming up the aisle to let her know that I'm changed my seat. The flight attendant was black. She turned and looked at me. She said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Mm-hmm." She said, "Okay." And she turned and looked back at the man and she said, "Okay." And smiled and kept going. I wanted to say, mind your fucking business. Don't neither one of these roles the role that I'm currently in, nor the role I was in previously have shit to do with you. Why you felt like you needed to go tell? A grown motherfucker too, grandpa age. So
I don't get it. So like to me, it's like, is it a level of petty? Is it really that you think that you like what really goes through your head? So here's the thing: by nature, I don't really care what anybody does if you don't kick my box, right? That's who I am as a person. If you don't, let me prep now. I'm gonna go back. If you don't kick my box, and if I don't see you harming someone that is of value to me,
okay.
You don't even really. I'm that one that. So let me give you an example of who I am, right, Trey? So I'm the chick that rides the train every day, and when the kids start fighting, I jump in like everybody auntie. I'm gonna throw you to this side, and then I'm gonna throw you to this side, and then everybody about to get these hands, or you about to get this long. That's who I am by nature, right? So I'm nosy when it comes to things that are protecting and being there for my folks, right? Because I'll get in that particular real life example. I'm like, so as I'm sitting here as your elder and I'm watching all of these people around you just really about to let y'all fight, and these white people are mortified, right? They can't wait to show up and be like that dude that was sitting on the plate, like, yo, they did this, right. Can't wait to show up. So knowing this as your elder, I'm going to break you up and I'm going to put you on both sides of the, like, you go over here, because I can't let anybody put your hands on you. So I'm nosy in regards to making sure that no one else is able to take advantage of you, right? So for me, I naturally advocate for things in people that make sense. If it doesn't bring any value, then what the hell do I have to say about it? And I don't think that a lot of people recognize that. You understand me? Like the guy that was on the plane with you, he just wanted to just be seen, be heard. Like, what value did it bring you in order to say, hey, go check this dude's seat?
It doesn't bring him any value. What it does, it makes you recognize what white supremacy is. And white supremacy is rooted in being in charge. And because you've seen someone that you value as less than defy the rules without permission, your white supremacy made you feel like you had to be the great white hope and tell. See, Black people, we don't do that because we don't have that superior feeling. But what you can equate it to is having siblings. Is when the oldest sibling does something, and they get away with it, and then you do it, and the older sister feel like it's necessary that they got to tell on you.
Got it. Because of the power.
Yes.
Because of the power. And because of that level of superiority. And also, like, can we talk about it? It's also because of that level of being just the majority, right? So if I feel like I'm the majority and I feel like on this particular flight collectively, like everybody else is going to feel like me. It's the assumption, right? That the rest of the crowd is going to feel like this. He broke the rules. So I can say this and I can put him out there because at the end of the day, I know that collectively, or I think that collectively, those around me will have my back.
Yes.
Which is, group thought can be wonderful and it can be dangerous at the same time.
Oh, very dangerous. Very dangerous. That's why I never even like to be in group projects. It's good.
No, you ain't doing it.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that. And I'm the type of person that I'm the person on the train that's going, these kids is fighting. Mm-hmm. They ain't my damn kids. I'm moving the fuck away. As long as you don't come over here, I'm good.
So let me ask you something. So I learned something about me over the last few weeks is that, so there's different ways that you can do like community action, right? To be engaged collectively or collective action. And so I realized about myself is that in my older years, I'm more of what they call an enthusiast, right? So I believe in like entrepreneurial thought and engagement. So I'm the one that's normally a little bit more radical, normally willing to step out a little bit more. I'll do extreme stuff. It's hard to keep me on target or task sometimes because like I want to just do everything all over the place sometimes and I got to be reined in, right? But there's levels of minimalists, right? So those are people who like, let me just write a check to it. You know what I mean? Like, let me get up and I'm going to do what I feel like is in my purview. I'm going to speak up as long as it doesn't put myself in danger, right? And I think a lot of times within our community, we sit and we argue back and forth on the right and the wrong approach. There is no right damn or wrong approach, right? So if you're saying like, like those are not my damn kids, I wouldn't, if that is your purview, like to be like, you know what I mean? I'm going to help the ones that want to be helped, come to me as an intern, all that kind of stuff. But y'all that are unruly and unengaged, I ain't got no time for you. I wouldn't expect you to show up in that space. More would like you to show up in that space. You know what I mean? Because there's multiple ways to get it done. So let's talk about from like a community, like as a community though, like how many times do you see us fighting over who's fighting for what? Like I'm you know, like I'm fighting for this, so you fighting for that. Like, why can't we all collectively like do one thing? And I'm like, we have multiple ways of thought. We have multiple ways of getting it done. And so like you fighting over how I'm fighting or where I'm swinging or where I decide to show up is crazy to me. Right?
Mm-hmm. One of the reasons I know that I would consider myself as a minimalist and who don't step in fights and fights, things like that, and it goes almost on target of what we're talking about tonight, used and being discarded. Yeah. I don't speak up and step up because of the toxicity that exists in the Black community towards gay people. And you go to step up and try to break up a fight, or you want to tell this kid what to do, and the next thing you know, somebody's child is out here disrespecting you, calling you a fucking faggot. So instead of me risking punching somebody's kid in the mouth or being disrespected, being embarrassed that a child is disrespecting me and calling me this, I'm going to shut up and mind my business. And then if you go even a step further, if it's not, if you do break them up and then they go tell their parents and then their parents come and their parents want to say something, Wally was you fucking faggot. Don't be touching my fucking kids. And then, regardless of the fact that your son was about to get his ass whooped. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Regardless if they was going to get his ass whooped and I broke it and I stopped your son getting your ass whooped, you just see that a big Black gay man, you know, is involved. And so you automatically want to go on a defense. Not even understanding what happened, not even trying to understand what happened. And that happens very, very, very often in our community. And if you think back, if you know any other like openly gay people, most gay people do not intervene. We don't intervene because it becomes more of a threat and danger for us to intervene.
And so let me ask you a very direct question. So do you feel like it's always you're a number that only wants to be counted when you need to be a body. Meaning like when they need a face and need somebody to come up and show up your face, right? But when it comes to like really protecting those who identify with the LGBTQ plus, right? That you don't necessarily have that level of and the level of support, the level of protection that comes back to directly to you.
That is completely 100% accurate.
So one of the things that I read recently, it was a viral post, and it said that Black women don't understand that Black gay men are normally the ones who speak up for you and advocate for you the most. However, when it comes to you advocating for our issues and you showing up for us, sometimes you're nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on that?
Wait, say that part again. I'm sorry. That was a work email.
Sure. The viral post said that to Black women, that Black gay men are the ones who normally advocate for you the most. But when it comes to you having, you posted it too? When it comes to you having our back, like you normally don't have it. What's your thoughts on it?
That is absolutely true. They don't have So the post is saying Black gay men defend Black women more than straight Black men. But a woman will ride to the fucking wheels fall off for a straight Black man. But when it comes down to that gay person who's been in your life forever, who's protected you from so many different situations, when they need to be protected and when it's time for that female to show up and protect them, they don't. And not only do they fail to protect them, but they also be the first ones to stab them, just hit them with a gut punch. When situations like, as soon as you get mad, they get mad at you, the first thing they want to say, you fucking faggot. Get your gay ass out of here. You want to beat me any fucking ways. No, sweetie, don't nobody want to be you. Nobody want to be you. The difference is, if for men, if I want to be you, I can go buy a pussy.
Get tucked and snuffed.
I can go buy one. I got the coin, bitch. So if that was the case, that would be it. No, that's not the case. But they always, it's like, and it's sad because we find a sense of refuge in Black women. Mm-hmm. We find a sense of acceptance in Black women. So when you've opened yourself up to a friend or someone who you consider as a friend to that degree, and then for them to turn around and call you a faggot, and it's just like it's almost equivalent to you dealing with a guy and this your kid's father, and he's never disrespected you, but then he get in front of all these hoes and start calling you all type of bitches. The level of hurt and disrespect that you feel is how we feel when Black women who we protected turn against us in that same manner.
So can I be honest with you? One of the things that I always equate the relationship between Black women and Black gay men is almost to black and white for me. Like, it's almost that same kind of mindset. It's like, you know how we'll say things like, white people love us when we entertaining them, when we playing ball for them, when we go into that, and we're their friend then, right? But then when it comes time to like advocate for our rights or to stand up for us or to be there, then they're like, but you were my friend, I just didn't know what to do, right? And so I feel like it goes the same way. I feel like when it comes to black gay men, I feel like it's a mold. I feel like we're doing our hair, as long as you're telling us about the latest fashion, as long as you're living up to the goddamn stereotype, then oh my gosh, we are in love with you, right? Yeah. Like, we want to be around you. We want to be your good Judy. We want to give you all of this energy. But then when it comes time to like really showing up, then it's an issue. I also feel like then when it comes time to, if your son came home and said he was gay, now you're going to get rid of him because the dude to do your hair is different, right? He different.
I can tell you firsthand, that was my situation at home. My mother hairdresser was gay. There's people that were in the neighborhood that was gay. My mother laughed, hey child, talking to them and all this stuff, but then when I came home gay, whoa, I knew my mother was gonna be so accepting and everything. You got a gay hairdresser, you talk to these gay people and everything. But no, It was faggot this, faggot that, faggot, 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 faggot. Period. That was it. To the point to where I would tell her, I would get into it with her, and I say, well, won't you tell the person who's doing your hair, call him a faggot. Why don't you the friends I'm with, call them a faggot. Don't just do it in your house. And that's kind of like I was explaining one time I was talking to somebody when Pete Buttigieg was running for president, and people was like, oh, the black community would never vote him in. And I would try to explain to people, I said, that's a fucking lie. Black people fuck with gay people as long as it's not their loved one.
But do you really think we fuck with them? Or was it one of those situations where, again, I'm going back to how white people treat us. In your face, we'll sit there and you in love and we do these things and you so happy to have this black friend and all of these things. However, when it comes time to take you home, when it comes time to like really being in an intimate relationship with you, then it's a problem. So not just family, but that level of intimacy. So in your face, it's politically correct to say these things. But then when you go home and you be like, girl, you know, he just, and you know what I mean? And be all in your emotions.
Oh, absolutely. But the thing is, black people don't have a problem with gay people until it hits home.
Yeah.
Until it hits home. As long as you gay and you in the streets, you and my girlfriend out, I catch you at the bar or whatever, as long as it ain't in my house, it's okay. As long as it's not my child, it's okay. But the moment it falls and hit home, then it's a problem. Then it's an issue. It's just like I tell people all the time. But the thing about being black and gay is I never understood, for one, like being in the church is you can be fanning over the choir, honey, all over the usher board, play the minister of music and everything, and be just as sweet as you want to fucking be. But you better not open your mouth and say that you can.
Which is crazy to me, right? Because it's like back to I'm gonna use you for what I need you for, what you're good at. Go ahead and lead praise and worship and all of these things. But the minute that you say it, oh my God, now everything has now shut down, right? Like all of a sudden now you want to drench me in holy water and oil, and you want to call all of the deacons and the missionaries, and we're gonna pray over you, and we're gonna get this spirit out of our church.
This demon.
We're gonna get it all out. We're gonna sit there.
One thing that I've never understood for myself, I have a different level of resiliency about myself. Mm-hmm. There is like, you can't pay me to go sit up in church. You cannot pay me to go sit up in church. And I just never understood the level of hate that some black gay men have for themselves. Because for you to sit up in the church and dedicate all your life to making sure that the music is good and the choir can sing and the usher board and this and paying your tithes and everything, and then the shepherd over their flock gets up there and constantly ridicules homosexuality and say you're going to hell and that's like that's like slavery. You still forced to serve this master and you're sitting there instead of getting up walking away. You can't pay me to sit there and do that.
A master that doesn't value you.
Yes.
You doesn't understand nor appreciate your work. Mm-hmm. I can see where that could be a bit interesting. So what I also find though with that is, again, we can ridicule it, we can say it, but we also perpetuate a lot of the myths within the church, right? Mm-hmm. So we perpetuate like messages like, well, everyone who's homosexual or they're gay, watch your children around. Like, what the hell? Yeah. Like, or you don't want to be around him because something ain't right with that boy. You know what I mean? I'm like, so how is it that this is supposed to be a place of love? You're supposed to be leading me, and that is a message that you perpetuate, right? So on a less, it's not funny, right? But a lighter note. So I went to church a couple of times with one of my gay friends, right? Mm-hmm. And so in sitting in the services, 2 different churches, right? The level of advances that came to him in a small amount of time. I watched this pastor, and I'm not saying it's every church, go and calm down, but I watched this pastor, right, get up announce his wife and her accolades and these things that she done. She was beautiful. Sat down, crossed his legs, and started winking at my guy sitting next to me, like flirting, outwardly flirting.
That's another
reason
like, why. Yeah, it's very true. That's another reason why I stopped going to church as well, because I got more play in church than I would get in a damn gay club. I had to get to the point where I had to tell them, listen, I don't do preachers, deacons, saints, or friends.
None of them.
None of them. I remember I was at church and we had a guest speaker, and I went up after church to shake his hand and just tell him, we appreciate there was a good word. Child, he held onto my hand. I shook his hand. He held onto my hand, and when he held onto my hand, he took his finger, was doing this in the inside of my with his finger in my hand, and then it looked me dead in my eye and said, "That ain't what you wanted to tell me. Tell me what you really wanted to tell me." And when he said that, I snatched my hand back from him, and I walked off. Right, and now, mind you, in the spirit of transparency, because I don't lie, I'm standing by the kitchen door, the doorway to the kitchen in the church, and then the kitchen goes right past the kitchen door is the door to the parking lot. This minister walks by, going out the door, girl, and didn't even turn his head. I'm standing here on the doorway here, and straight ahead is the door to go outside. He walked by, looking straight, then turned his head or nothing. He said, "Let's go."
Wait, first of all, the boldness, right? Like the boldness of you, like one, you probably just got up there and preached on everything that said differently. And then the second part about it is the boldness where you would even make the assumption that I want you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He said,
or I'm gonna hold your secret, and I'm putting in quotes. Yeah. So how many times have you done that so that you are that comfortable?
He must have did it enough, but I'm gonna tell you one thing about it, two things for certain. I left. And I fucked him. Yes, I did. And I was laughing about it. It was funny. Me and my best friend laughed about it because I told her afterwards. She was in church with me, and she was just shouting and carrying on child from his preaching, girl. And I told her, I said, "Girl, I fucked him right at the church, this, that, and the third." She said, "Bitch, he had me up there doing all that shouting and stuff. He going right to hell. He is going right to hell." She just kept going, "He's going right to hell." And then I started to be convicted by it. I just felt convicted in my spirit. And and that's when I put my rule in place. I don't do preachers, deacons, saints, or friends, because I just feel like if you're supposed to be a man of the cloth and you're going to bust hell wide open, do it at your own accord. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to help you get there. Do it on your own. And that was it. But it was a good cut-up session. I bet it was. It was real good.
I bet it was.
Because those men is nasty. They freaks. They some freaks. They freakazoids. But
here's that thing where, so this is a mindset thing for me, right? So about openness. Like if you're going to be open and do what you do, like being able to do it without, not you, I'm talking about him now, right? Mm-hmm. So if this is what you do, right, because there's so much conviction within the church and in the doctrine, I think a lot of people flip-flop back and forth between the two, right? So where I want to be able to openly express and say that I love the Lord and I love God and I want to be able to show up into his house and to be able to worship, can I really do that if you saying that everything about me is wrong to begin with, number one, and then number two, you can't tell me to be free and be who God created me to be, and then in the same breath, but don't be that.
Yes. And that's exactly how I grew up. I won't say it sounds harsh to the listeners, so this is gonna sound harsh when I say it, but just listen to the whole totality of what I'm saying. I came out of the closet when I was 13, 14 years old. I grew up in church, but by the time I hit 13, I knew the Bible was some bullshit because I knew I had not chosen to be gay. And I had laid in the bed many a nights, weeping and wailing, praying, like, Lord, please take this away from me. I don't want to be like this. The way I feel for a boy, please make me feel like that for a girl. That's traumatic for a kid to deal with.
Yeah.
So I knew that it was not nothing that I asked for, or that something that I wasn't naturally, that didn't happen naturally, that this is who I am. And there was no way that you can tell me that God, if he exists, he hates me when he made me like this. I didn't choose this. So therefore, it tells me that what you're telling me, what this Bible is saying, is not factual. It is not true. It is not rooted in truth. Because if it was rooted in truth, I would have chosen to be a homosexual, but I did not. I did not. This is who I am. This is who I was. I never was molested. I never was raped, touched, nothing. My earliest memory of dealing with a boy was in preschool, kissing a boy. I never liked girls. Never. So for you to say God didn't make you like this and you're going to hell, miss me with all that bullshit. Miss me with all that dumb shit. And then as you get older and you grow older, it's like, damn, you sitting here preaching this, but right after you get through preaching, you're like, yo, come to the crib. But you're going to get up in the pulpit and preach to the people that homosexuality is wrong, and you out here getting your dick sucked by niggas? Yeah. That's where the problem come into play at. And if it's a choice, it's not a choice. Because if it was a choice and you know so much and you got so much wisdom from the word and that God is imparting to speaking directly to you, then you won't be getting your dick sucked by niggas. It's natural, scientifically. Over 150 species, and we are a part of the animal kingdom, and we tend to forget that. Any other species can have homosexual sex, right? But as soon as humans do it, oh no, you're going to hell. You're wrong. But a lion can go fuck a lion and then turn around and go right back and rule over the pride with his lioness and their cubs. See, the difference is scientifically you have monogamy and then you have not. People who aren't. And I think with humans, we're a mix of like two lovebirds. Lovebirds, when you see two lovebirds and they get two birds that go together, those are two males. And once they're together till death do them part. When two dolphins, male dolphins get together, they're together and they become monogamous. They mourn when the other dies and everything. It's different species that have different things. And so like lions, you don't see homosexual monogamy in lions, but you see homosexual sex. Two lions will have sex with each other, but they will never be monogamy and be together. Once they have sex, they both go back and rule over the lioness in the den. So I think humans, we're a mix.
You know what's interesting to me, going back to the comment that you made about the Bible. So at one point in time, I went on this whole exploration phase when it came to religion, right? Mm-hmm. So I've read every holy book that's out there. I've done tons of research. Like in my academic career, I've only got a C one time, James. One time. Only one time I've ever got a C, Trey. You know what that C was in?
Okay, girl.
The C was in, I questioned the Bible.
Philosophy,
right? As it related to homosexuality, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went and I dug up all of these facts, and we talked about the fact that the term homosexual didn't come to like much later than 100 or so years later than when the Bible existed. Went into the whole fact that when we're talking about the King James Version, you were okay as long as you were a top, but not a bottom. So there were all of these different things that we came up, and I gave her all her facts and her rules. But she was pretty religious, so I got a C, Jay. I got a C, Jay.
Well, that's just like I tell people all the time. Like you look at the relationship of Jonathan and David in the Bible when he says, "My love for you surpasses that of the love of a woman." And when you think about how they talk back then, and to use that in context, a man to say, my love for you surpasses the love that I have for a woman, that's carnal. Love is not agape love. Friend love, that's agape. But when you use the context and say, it surpasses the love I have for a woman, that's carnal, because your love for a woman is sexual, it's carnal, it's relationship-wise. So when you use that context, that's homosexuality. When he was leaving, why did they sneak off to kiss? You see the context was,
yeah.
but then the preachers won't preach that.
So, but back to being the whole, we use things in context that make sense for what we want you to believe, right? Mm-hmm. And so I do think that there's, different levels of interpretation, but my thing is, if you are, whatever you decide to do, whatever you decide to read, if you're going to teach it, I need you to teach it from A to Z. You know what I mean? From 1 to 52. Like, don't pull out 3 here and then go and flip through and pull out 5 there. Like, if you are going to stand and you're going to say that you believe something, I need you to wholeheartedly believe it. Back to the whole piece of like humanity, which I was talking about or mentioned a little bit earlier. So when we out here and we're talking about like, all lives, Black lives, whatever, but it doesn't appear that there was something else in the news as it related to trans, right? So they were like, okay, when we say Black Lives Matter, do we include trans lives? Are you including that? This post was lit the hell up with so many comments that's like, well, we need you to stay on target and topic, and trans lives is something different. But if you're saying that you are about humanity, right? Like in humanity, right? Like, are you really committing to that? Or is it only when it's convenient because you want a free ride on a subject because it's hot right now?
Right. Right. And I mean, it's just, it's unfortunate. And that happens, and it even happens in the church. Like, we'll say homosexuality, it's a sin. But they talk about Leviticus, and you talk about it, but it's also a sin, according to Leviticus, to wear mixed linens, polyester and cotton mixed together, whatever you're using. It's also a sin to overeat, gluttony, these types of things. But it's not an abomination unless it's homosexuality, right? Yeah. But it's the same book, it's the same Bible, and they're saying the same thing, but only the gay person is the one that's gonna bust hell wide open. Not the church mother who is obese than a motherfucker, not the deacon that got on this polyester wool blend suit
with the stripes.
Yeah. not the head of the usher board who's gonna go home and eat these crabs and shrimp, because seafood is also supposed to be sinful and you're not supposed to eat of that. So at what point do we hold everybody accountable? And it's just, but that's very common with Black people. We look at our politics. If Black people really voted according to their beliefs, Black people would not vote Democrat. They would
be Republican. But I don't think that we recognize how conservative that we are in the way of thought.
Oh, like very conservative.
Like, I don't think we recognize like that we are not as liberal as we say that we are. And that when it comes to a lot of like hard issues, like we can even take something like abortion. Yeah, we go on both sides of the fence, but how many times it just in regular conversation, as you heard, well, she's gonna have that baby because we don't believe in no abortions around here. Abortion, of course. But here's the thing, because what we believe is normally deeply rooted in Christianity, which is then deeply conservative, which is what we hear a lot of times from the Republican Party as they argue certain beliefs and certain tactics. But I really don't think that we ever ask ourselves, why do we believe the things that we believe?
Because we were taught them. If we really, 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 really believed that the Bible was the infallible word of God, we would not vote Democrat. Period. If these are your true beliefs, if you truly, truly, truly believe that, you would not stray away from that belief. And as much as Mary, the girl from Mary, Tina, caught hell for voting for Trump. But she voted based on her beliefs and what aligned for him. Why the evangelicals and everybody voted for him? Not because they believe in that they didn't think he was a racist. They didn't think he was an asshole. They voted based upon their beliefs, their morals. But Black people, when we really believe something, we don't shy away from it. We don't stand away from it. We just have been taught and conditioned and rooted in Christianity.
But this is where I get upset with us, because sometimes it only takes a why. Like, you know what I mean? Like ask yourself why. Like, nothing we do, nothing we say, nothing that we believe just happened because of happenstance and because it just is, right? And so a lot of times when we're talking about very serious issues, we give the answer like, oh, it just has to be that way. But what also drives me nuts is that we don't see the other end of the spectrum, right? So we can say things like, you know, like, well, at the end of I'll give you a post. So yesterday I put up a post, I think, and I asked, do you advocate for gay rights or something on those lines, right? And so it's like, no, I don't really advocate for them, but I believe in human rights, or I don't advocate them because I'm a Christian or whatever it is. It's like, but why? What is it in the Bible? Can you name me 2 verses? You know what I mean about it? When we say things like, you know, because I believe in freedom of choice. Why? Do you really? Like, is that consistently showing up for you? And we have a tendency to perpetuate messages and we don't do any research behind them. Right. So it's like, if you, being a Democrat, why are you a Democrat? Is it just because your last 5 family members told you that's the way that you're supposed to vote, but you can't name any policies that actually really acted in your favor? Like, those things drive me absolutely insane, because it's like, what are we going to develop some critical thinking skills? Because we can say we believe something because it just is, or because we read it in the Bible, but we don't do the research. But then yet let a white person ask us something about our culture, about how we feel, how we think, how we believe, and then all of a sudden we like, do your research.
Right. It's kind of like it was a story of, it was a lady cooking a pot roast, right? And she cut the ends off the pot roast. She cut the end off this side and the end off that side, and she cooked it. And she's just wondering, she's like, why don't we cut the ends off of this pot roast when we cook it? You know, she's like, my mother just passed that on to me. You know, that's how my mother made it. That's how I make it. So she said, well, I'm gonna call my mother and ask her. She called her mother and she said, Mom, why do you cut the ends off the pot roast when we cook pot roast? And her mother said, that's a good question. My mother did it. Well, I'm gonna ask my mother why we did it, because that's how she taught me. And so she calls her mother and she asks her mother the same thing. Mom, why we cut the ends off the pot roast when we cook it? She said, and then the mother said, child, I'm not cutting no ends off the pot roast. I cut the ends off the pot roast when I cook it because the pot I cook it in was always too small.
So I had to
so you passing this shit down, wasting this meat, and you don't even know all these years, and you don't know no better.
Pretty much.
That's ridiculous.
But that is the thing that we have a tendency to do the most. We don't challenge thought. We don't ask why we do things. We don't, go back to questioning. But here's the thing. I also think it's rooted in the fact that we're taught a lot about communication in very short sentences. We're taught not to ask questions. We're taught to stay out of grown folks' business. We're taught to be seen and not heard. When we have a child that's expressive, we like, if you don't sit down and stay out of grown people's business, right? So that level of being able to challenge our elders, or to even challenge authority, is not there for us.
Even what are we taught? Even in church, the worst thing you can do is question God. Don't question God. Why can't I question him? Why? Who said I can't question God? But the reason we taught you don't question God is because if you feel that comfortability to question, then what happens is it releases your fear. And the thing that we're taught is, I don't fear no man, I don't fear nothing but God. But if God is who God is, and God is so omnipotently loving and caring and so on and so forth, why should you fear him?
So you know what changed my life, Trey, is like, because grew up in the church, not saying anything. That's my home church. Those are my folks. You know what I mean? I go back and visit, right? But watching the inconsistency in their behavior sometimes in their character made me completely turn off from religion and God. right? Because at one point I couldn't separate the two. I couldn't separate the relationship from the doctrine that I've been given, to the laws, to the rules, to no wearing polish, to wearing long skirts. You had to act and do a certain kind of way, right? And then I would see these people collectively go home in the hood and they be acting some sort of way, right? Like I seen them as being very judgmental. I seen them as, you know, not really having the faith that they said that they practice, right? So as a result, for me, I was completely turned off, and I went on this whole, again, exploratory phase. For a long time, I questioned, I ain't gonna say for a long time, for about 3 or 4 years though, I'm like, there can't be a God if it's the God that you described to me.
It can't.
This is the God that you say show up. It can't possibly be that, right? But when I started to read, again, all of the holy books and looking at some of the core values that existed in all of those books, and then I actually got with the pastor that actually really was able to show me and tell me a little bit more about the word, right? And gave me permission, right? Why do I need permission as a 20-year-old? Because I had never been granted permission before to trust God or to question God. Right? So now when he gave me the permission, can I tell you that level of permission has been allowed me to grow into who I am and to have the most dynamic relationship possible? So like, even when people come to me and they say like, you know, you can't question him, or because you don't go to church, you got to go into his house every week or whatever. Now, I'm not going to turn you into whoever I am. You do what's good for you over there. But as for me, my relationship, you can't tell me what my relationships look like with him, because it has been challenged and tested time and time again. I have questioned him. He has sent me the answers. So for me to fall into now your box, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. However, if that works for you and you think that's getting you in heaven, by all means, do what works for you. But I'm going to do what works for me. And I don't need you to judge me. Or after, well, you can actually judge me because I don't give a damn. But like, I'm going to do what works best for me. But because people, that too, you have all of these folks that want to say, you think this one way, you act this one way. It's only one way to get it done, right? And so because they're always pushing their agenda on you, we can't possibly build. You know how many Trey and Mels never come back?
Right.
That are taught to hate themselves, that are taught that, you know, they are never going to be good enough, that sit in those same spaces and pretend and are miserable and are abusing, using drugs and their body because someone taught them that they were not worthy enough.
Yeah, sad. So sad. And the church is supposed to be a place of refuge. To me, like when I think of the church, I think of the church like the emergency room. If I'm broke, I need to come here to get fixed. I don't need to come here to be broken. And that's what happens a lot of times in our churches. You find the church will beat you down. What I've learned is that religion will beat you down. Religion has its own hell that it will put you in before the great creator even think about it. I just believe that my spiritual guidance, my spiritual walk is what it is spiritually, and I'm fine where I'm at. I believe, like, I thought of different things, and it's like, in my philosophy class, it made me question a lot of things. And one of the things that really opened me up to questioning was in the textbook we had, it said, if God is so good and a baby has been on this earth and done no sin, why would he allow a baby to burn and die in the fire? If that baby has done no sin. So when you start looking at things like that, it start making you question, like, wait a minute. And then I start comparing biblical phrases and the things that the church tell us to white supremacy and slavery. And
how that was used against us the same way that we use it against homosexuality.
Yes. And I say to people all the time, I say to Black people, how could you be so gung-ho on this book when this book, you think you came here, you were stripped of everything. No culture, no identity, no nothing. You're stripped. And then we don't want you to read. We don't want you to learn how to write. Nothing. But then I'm going to give you this book and tell you that there's a great white hope that's going to save you from everything. In the book that's telling you that you should suffer in silence. In the book that tells you that you should mourn in life and rejoice in death. That your victory and your prize is going to be in death, when no man has ever come back and told us what happens after death.
You better say a word.
So I don't get how people, to me, I look at people and I'm like, I'll be like, y'all dumb. I legit be saying like, y'all is really dumb to believe that, and believe that these white people gave y'all a Bible to whoop your ass and quote scriptures when they was whooping your ass, and now you abide by it.
Woo, you done stepped on somebody's toes, but
man, you abiding by it. You know what I mean? I never could get that. I never could wrap my head around it. And I'm like, that's how I know, like me, I'm just different. I'm just altogether different. I'll be like, and even with religion, you know, with my uncle, I told my uncle, I said, listen, y'all have to step up y'all game, because what y'all dealing with now, the black church is going to become obsolete. These preachers and these pastors that came from our age group, our back in the day, they're not equipped to deal with what's going on today. Not especially how you going to be equipped to tell, you're going to tell everybody that's gay they going to hell. You ain't going to have nothing in your church but 5 members. Everybody out here fucking and sucking.
But here's where I feel like there's value. So if you happen to still be listening to Trey and I want you to really take what I'm getting ready to say. I need you to stick to facts and not feelings when you're having conversations with us, right? Yeah. So there were so many times where I was seeking and I would ask questions and people get in their damn feelings. I don't need you in your feelings. So if you are really trying to move me to Christ and you're really trying to restore whatever my lack of belief in this book that you're giving me or whatever, come speak to me with facts. Because here's what's either one of the two things are going to happen. You either going to find the facts that's going to help me change my life, or you're going to realize that what you're preaching and teaching to me is bullshit. So it's going to be one or the other. But we have these discussions and people be so emotional. I don't need your goddamn emotions. Like, I don't need you to get into this whole hooping, hollering again. And now all of a sudden you want to cast all my demons out. Stick to the script and the question that I asked you about. So if I'm talking to you about a subject like homosexuality, show me the verses so we can talk about these verses together, right? Yeah. When I'm asking you things about, well, how is the term homosexuality in the Bible and it didn't exist for hundreds of years after? When I'm asking you to explain in the Bible about this relationship, you know, with this one or that one, and you can't sit and have a detailed discussion with me without getting in your feelings, what are you really trying to do here? You're trying to prove that you're right. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go equate it right back to how I feel that white folks do us, right? You and your feelings, and you so want me to believe a thing, and you want me to see things from your perspective that you're not even taking the time to hear or answer the root of what I said was incorrect. And why you're not going to do that, because then that's going to force you to question everything that you believed and thought up to this point, which is traumatic for you.
Yep.
And now if you don't have this thing to stand on, which is your entire existence, whether it's white privilege or whether it's Christianity, then now you don't know who you are as a person. So like, if we're going to have a discussion, I need you to stick to facts when you're talking to me, especially to the youth that's coming behind me, right? Because they question everything. They have a certain level and a certain ability to be liberal and to challenge and to be more radical than we were.
I love it.
So like, if they are the ones that you want to eventually take over and to tell people and lead people to Christ and to God, then you have to be able to effectively and minister to them in a way that makes sense and not based on your damn feelings. And I think that's what never happens when I'm listening to some of these debates.
It's not. And you know, one of the things is I think that people need to understand is I look at the Bible as nothing more than a self-help book written by Dr. Phil. And honestly, I just don't, there's nothing factual to it. There's nothing that's been able to be proven. I mean, we have all these ancient hieroglyphic writings and everything, and all these stories have been passed down from generation to generation, and all of this stuff, writings on the wall, but nothing that's in the Bible has been corroborated. Nothing. Not one thing. So to me, it's just like, miss me with all of that. miss me with all of that, and then it makes me question even to go further. Like, we came from Africa. What did they do in Africa? They praised they danced to the rain god because they wanted rain. Or if they needed food, they did this. Or they did a spell and they did this, and we call it black magic, and we were taught that it's all evil. And it's not evil, it's the actual religion and the way of life that we come from. But yet we're taught that it's evil, it's bad, and bad is bad and bad. And we were taught that through slavery because they stripped it from us. But if we were still doing black magic and roots and shit, don't you think that would have been uprooted the motherfucking master and his whole fucking family?
Of course.
Slavery would have been over a long time ago if we had still had that power.
And had the connection.
Yes. We were stripped of it. We were stripped of it. And just like when somebody talk about like anger, like we're taught to not respond in anger. But what's wrong with the emotion of anger? We're taught, and we could say, I don't want to be seen as the angry black woman. Or I don't want to be seen as the angry black guy in the office. But what's wrong with anger? Your anger actually is about how you channel it and how you use it. You got kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes I bet you walk in there, you sick and tired, you telling your kids to clean this room up or clean that room up. Clean that room up. And then eventually you just get so fucking mad that you're sick and tired of telling him that you're so mad you done cleaned up the damn room for him.
And so here's my thing. Even when it comes to emotions in general, I feel like they all should be honored, right? So I'm gonna touch on the angry black, and then we'll go into the whole kid and the emotions with your kids, and you know how emotions are natural and they're normal, right? So cultural conditioning goes both ways. If I can position you to believe that the way that you show up is angry, it's aggressive, it's assertive, how many opportunities can I keep you from, and how many things can I keep you from creating for the greater good of the folks, right? When I stopped like prescribing to the thought that I'm going to show up as an angry black woman and you just going to get this assertive, aggressive chick that I was born to be, like I believed honestly that I'm a chick that's supposed to shake the goddamn table. Right. Yeah. And so how you feel about me shaking to the table, I don't give a fuck. So but because we are conditioned to believe and how that level of authority sees us, thinks about us, and that they are in position to take or control what we do next, we don't do what we're supposed to do. And so like that angry black woman stereotype and all of, showing up as angry and this, that, and the third, I tell my kids on a side note, after you got all of that emotion out, what the hell you gonna do with it? You can express your feelings, you can honor your feelings, but your feelings don't equate to the goddamn work. So if you gonna go through all of these levels of emotions and anger and being upset or being heavily emotional, honor it, but now what we're gonna do next? It's not enough, right? But there's also times, real story, right? I tell my kids, like especially the little one, because the little one is a little bit more emotional than the rest of them. And so like she'll be in her feelings for a second, and then she'll go get herself together and get out. So because I want her to relate to me on a human level, I will tell her mommy's going in timeout for 15, 20 minutes, or call me in an hour because I'm in my feelings about something. I'm angry, right? But I need to show her how to manage that and not discard it. Because I ain't got time to be in these streets and like I'm dealing with it on creating and people who don't know how to express themselves. And they don't know how to communicate when they feel a certain kind of way. So it's an interesting role.
Yeah, I just think that we're taught that because what I was trying to say with the anger, we're taught to suppress that anger because that anger will fuel us to be so great. Like, why are people out here protesting about Black lives? Because they're angry. They're pissed. And now they're learning how to channel it. I'm so fucking mad, I'm protesting. You get what I'm saying? I'm so fucking mad.
But I also think that not being able to show anger is because back to not wanting you to question or challenge authority. So if I get so angry and I get so upset or whatever, then I'm going to challenge the things that have been holding me back to what you were just saying a couple seconds ago. And if I channel that thing, then I create change. And if I create change, then I'm scared that change is going to benefit them and not necessarily benefit us. So then I'm going to keep you here and I'm going to give you the labels. And as long as you abide by the labels, then you're safe. Like, we don't realize how many things that we are taught very early on, and we don't take the time to say, well, why do I do that? Or why do I think this way? We just adapt to all of the negative stereotypes and all of the labels and all of the doctrine. And so we don't create full lives, or we don't make a real impact. And then we get inconsistent and shit, because we don't know. If you don't know why you do a thing, you can't consistently walk in it, because you just all over the goddamn place and you want to flip flop to whatever is comfortable for the moment, and you're going to go with the masses. And so this is one of the last things. Like, I feel like a lot of people are really followers, and I need you just to own the fact that you're a goddamn follower. Like, and a lot of times we out here and we want to be leaders, but we don't understand there's a place for a follower. There's a place for a rabbit. But we want to all be out here and we want to present ourselves as leaders, when that's not really your role. You're not going to take any risks. You're not going to shake any tables. You're not trying to, because it doesn't necessarily fit your cause. But because you want to be out here and perpetuate these messages of leadership, you can't fully operate into your gifts and who you truly are.
Right. And that's the thing. It be the best follower there is. There is. You know, it's a follower exists for a reason. You know, and a leader exists for a reason. Everybody can't be the leader, and everybody can't be the follower. Yeah. You know, it's like the I think it's Jezebel and Ahab. That spirit. In order for the Jezebel spirit to be present, the Ahab spirit must be present. You know, one can't work without the other. Yeah. So I mean, and I think that's just that we need to get. That's something that we need to get, and that's something that we need to understand. And Black people really need to understand, if you're going to preach about Black Lives Matter, then let Black Lives Matter as in all aspects. Because when I show up to the table, they say I don't have no choice but to get out and march because I'm Black. You know, or to get up and stand up and fight for something, because what you see when I show up in the room, you see this.
A Black man first.
You see that. You see that. And the crazy thing is, then you come to the intersectionality when it comes to our communities. There was a video where a Black trans woman had bumped the lady car at the gas station or something. Mm-hmm. And there was a group of people marching for Black Lives Matter. Don't you know that they chased that fucking poor trans girl down and stomped the shit out that trans girl? Yeah, that's horrible. How are you marching for Black Lives Matter, but yet you turn around and mob a Black trans woman because she bumped a girl's car? Why did she need to be beat for that? Yeah, call cops. And that's just what I don't get when I walk in the room and there's men in the room who face automatically turn up. Well, when I walk in the room, because they see this, I'm cool. But then as soon as they get in your comfort zone, or a girl come around, I'm like, bitch, girl, no man. And now they like, yes, nigga, I'm gay. I'm gay. I'm not your typical, honey. These hands work. Like, don't get it fucked up. Like, so I think that they don't understand the intersectionality of being Black and being queer that we deal with. Like, yeah, you deal with going out into the world and they see a Black man, but you also benefit from your heterosexual privilege. Say it. And we don't have that.
But here's the thing, not to cut you off, but again, it's a naive point where we don't understand that we have heterosexual privilege, just like white folks don't understand that they have white privilege, because we don't take the time to research. We don't dig into the issues that matter most to us. Why? Because it doesn't concern me in my everyday life. But then we get pissed off with other people for not digging into our causes and our things. I'm sorry, I just had to bring out that real point.
That's fine. I just look at it so funny. And the reason So the highest, the top paid demographic now are Black gay men. And while people would think, oh, it should be celebrated, y'all the highest paid demographic, y'all make more money than white men. Mm-hmm. It's not to be celebrated, because why? You're looking at the end result of what we get, but why are we getting this? Why are we excelling to the top of these corporations and organizations? Because when they look at us, they don't see us. They don't see, when they find out you're homosexual, you're
no longer a threat.
You're no longer a threat. You do not move as a threat to them. You do not pose as a threat. And so as you not posing as a threat, you slide right underneath their fucking radar. Next thing you know, you done bypass them. And now they're like, oh, this motherfucking black faggot. Then it's a problem.
So it's similar to the whole thing where now Black women have a tendency to take jobs that were reserved before for white men, right? And it's that same way because we weren't seen as a threat. They didn't see our education. They didn't see it. They didn't see us coming. Like, because of everything that's always put out there as far as like Black women ain't shit, Black women are lazy, Black women. So they never saw us coming. So now that we here, but we still don't get paid, but that's a whole nother thing. But we
that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. There's a whole what Black women are the most educated demographic that exists in this country, and they should be paid as such. But again, the reason why they're not paid as such, because we don't want to make our children see anything but doctors and lawyers, because we feel like that's where the money is. Newsflash, most politicians are rich. Most politicians don't start off rich. Look at AOC. Her motherfucking ass, when she got voted into Congress, she couldn't even afford to get a fucking apartment in DC. But now you see that bitch, she Louis Gucci Prada down.
But I also think that Black women and women in general don't get paid what we're worth, is because we don't know how to shake the damn table, and we're scared that if we say what we really want and we claim our worth, then you're going to take us and remove us from the table. So we're so damn scared that we're going to miss an opportunity that we don't know how to go get the bag when it comes to corporate America. Because
you're conditioned.
Exactly. Agreed.
Conditioned. All the way even from the church. What did you say? Women are supposed to be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
And then look at our home church. You know, women don't even go into the pulpit.
Listen, honey.
They have to stand at the podium. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
That is the way women are conditioned.
Yes.
It's funny
and socialized.
And I say it as a joke, but look at
it's true.
The movie Precious, where she said, and he was touching my baby. And Carl told me to shut my fat ass the fuck up. And Mariah said, and what did you do? And she said, I shut my fat ass the fuck up. Because that's how Black women are conditioned. And to me, and I always said this, and I tell people all the time, I say, Black women are top, period. Like, what it would be if I was heterosexual, I would love to marry a Black woman. I would love to elevate a Black queen, but they just don't do it for me. It's not a choice. Black women are such gifts. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why they have been conditioned over years and years and years to be quiet and to play yourself down. Most of these families would not be surviving if it wasn't for a Black woman. Black women can run this fucking country, period, point blank. Black women have shown up with nothing and made a way out of nothing.
So true.
And I think that as a Black community, we need to elevate Black women to the pedestal that they deserve to be on.
But it goes, I think it goes back to us then taking control of the narrative and learning to condition our children differently, like to raise our daughters in a completely different space. So now we've identified that from a social aspect of it, that we're consistently like telling them to be quiet, telling them that they're not good enough, telling them that they're too fast, telling them that women ain't shit, telling them that you can't trust another woman. Like all of these narratives that play, we're teaching them to how to be there for a man, we directly and indirectly, and to be of somebody's disposal, right?
Yes.
And then we go from one extreme to the next. If I'm not going to be of your disposal, then now I'm going to do all of these activities to prove to you that I can be independent, which is still allowing him to control your narrative. So we have to claim and take that narrative back first so that we can instill it in our daughters so that they can get in position to do what they need to do for them. I see it kind of turning the curve when I'm looking at some of these younger women. But then that's a whole nother subject. But then it's also that social piece of the reliance, where not the reliance, the yearning for a male's attention.
Yeah.
Which comes in and kind of like wipes some of the other stuff completely off of the table for us. And we can't move.
What also ties into the absence of the Black man and the family, and how important that the Black father in his role is. And it's because that is a daughter's first experience with a man. And when he's absent, what did you do? You yearn to be daddy's little girl.
Agreed.
And this is what we still condition it from our communities, where men must step up to the plate and take care of their responsibilities. Even if I don't have $1,000 to shell out to my kid, be there.
But we also, so we actually had, so if you have not watched the first 2 episodes or that appeared in June, I need y'all to go back and look at it. First, we talked to men that were incarcerated, and the second, we talked to the children, right? So even though it was specific to those who have been incarcerated, the same thread goes in between, which is that yearning, which is that that the need to be there, which is us as women understanding our choices and understanding what we chose and who we chose to be in our lives, and then learning how to work with that for the best of the kid.
Yes.
And for the overall well-being of the child. I would not be who I am. I would not be able to be so free in my thought. I would not be able to be so radical in my actions and my decisions if it were not for also the Black men who helped nurtured me to tell me that I was more than enough. No matter what I look like, nobody, super skinny, no nothing to the table, teeth, whatever, messed up, all of those things. But I still had someone to nurture not only me as a person from the outside, but the inside as well. And I think that's so important. But I need y'all to go back and look at those first 2 conversations so that they can pull something and realize how we can do it differently.
It is very.
We've been with these people for over an hour now. I know you got your work email, and I know you and I could talk forever, right? So, yes. But we're going to end it here. And so if there's something what is something that you want the folks to take away from this discussion tonight, if nothing else?
Okay, one thing I was going to say is if you are a parent, and even if you're not a parent, but if you're in a child's life, make sure that you teach that child to find acceptance in their self and happiness within their self, because until one loves themselves whole and completely, there's no way possible that anyone else would be able to love them if they don't know how to love themselves. Understand that trans women are not in competition with cisgender women. Gay Black men do not like and want or find attraction in every Black man. So if you're a straight Black man out there, chances are you single or you get dissed by girls. 9 times out of 10, gay niggas don't want your ass neither. So stop assuming that gay people want you, which we don't. We are Black. Our lives matter. Our Black trans sisters, they are Black. and their lives matter, we will continue to show up to the fight for Black lives. We fight for your life. We fight for your children and all your loved ones. And we stand up there in solidarity with our fists held high and proclaim that Black lives matter. So when it is a Black LGBTQIAPK life, understand that that is a Black life that matters.
Thanks, Trey. So for me, the things that I want you to take away from this conversation is I want you to really challenge your way of thinking in general. Why you do a certain thing, why you show up a certain way. For those who have deeply rooted themselves in Christianity, I dare you to go have conversations in your spot, in your church, in your religious social circles and groups, as it not only relates to the LGBTQ++, but as it relates to the messages that you send to our children and those that are following you within your spaces in your churches. Last thing that I think I want you to take away, I'm going to piggyback on what Trey said about making sure that you are showing love, demonstrating love, and teaching our youth, our young folks, the people around you, how to really appreciate and accept and to love themselves. We can't get the most out of an individual if they don't feel the best about themselves. So making sure that you are taking the time to encourage, uplift, and then lastly, stand behind what you say you stand behind, and consistently question yourself if you are showing up as such every day. So if you're saying that you're fighting for humanity, what does that really look like? If you're not really fighting for humanity and you just say you want to fight for Black straight people, hey, I need you to stick behind it, but say what it is. Don't hesitate to own who and what it is that you say that you are, but make sure that you do it consistently, right? Because without consistency, there's no credibility. And it shoots a hole in whatever mission that you choose. And it also doesn't allow you to align properly with those who share your similar beliefs in order to build with. So last thing, we're going to lighten this up. I want you to pick one thing to rant about and then one thing to rave about that you've seen this week.
One thing to rant about. Oh my God. Black people speaking up. I've seen speaking up and standing and owning the spaces that we are in. I can rant about that all day long. If we don't start to hold these other races accountable, they're going to continue to do what the fuck they want to do. The time is now. The time is right now to speak the fuck up, to start your own business. If a bitch do you wrong, I was at the layover in Chicago and I went to get something to eat, and the lady gave me the breakfast menu, and I ordered a bullshit cheese omelet because that's all they had. So then she brings out the white man a burger and fries. And I said, oh, wait, I didn't see that on the menu. She said, I gave him the other menu. She said, I said, oh, well, let me see the other menu. I don't want that. I don't want the cheese. She said, well, your order already went in, and he's making it. So no, you can't cancel it. I said, I can do what I want to do. I said, you're not gonna, I don't want it. You failed to give me the other menu. Therefore, you take accountability for your actions. You eat the damn cheese omelet. Let me see the other menu. Oh, I'll have the chicken wings. Thank you. Speak up. Own your fucking space. Own your space. She did it because I was Black. And the white man that was sitting at the bar, another white man, looked at her and said, that's fucked up. So I will always rant about owning your space, speaking the fuck up, and it goes along with what we talked about today. That's what I'm ranting about. Okay. What I'm raving about is good white people still exist in the world. I'm out here, I'm in Oklahoma for work, and I was standing outside the other day, and every white person that rolled by in the car was like this.
Welcome to the Midwest.
I was like, oh. And then I was in Walmart and I asked the guy where something was, and he walked me to the item. And then he said, is there anything else you need help finding? And I said, no. He said, well, if there is, I'm around. Just come get me and I'll make sure to help you find it. I was like,
is this Walmart?
well, thank you, man. This is after this traumatizing ass travel that I had coming here to get here and realize, oh my God. So I'm raving about the white people in Oklahoma. And Oklahoma is a very beautiful state. I've never been here. This campus that I'm on is a beautiful campus. That's what I'm raving about. I'm just raving about. I feel good. I thought I was gonna come over here and feel like I was in the world of fire or race, like it is in Philly. And I need therapy. I need to go see a therapist.
Well, I'm so glad that Oklahoma restored your faith. After the nosy dude on the route, I'm so glad that he restored your faith. So what I'm ranting about. So the thing I'm ranting about is if these last 4 months have not shown you that we need to create opportunities for ourselves, then I don't know what is. Between the people that are forced to be on the front line and just don't get paid enough to be out here and taking the ridicule and putting themselves in danger and being able to be yoked around like by school districts and all of these other different things because you don't have a choice. Like I want us to get into position to have a choice. Like it shouldn't be, you should be able to say like, I don't really want your job. Like, cool, deuces, I'm out. Yeah. You should be able to have a choice to say, like, I'm not sending my kid to school. I don't care what you say. And when I say have a choice, I mean to have the choice and to be able to do it comfortably. One thing that I will say is that people are not used to us having choices.
Yes.
They're not.
That is so true. That is so true.
I sent an email and I said, hey, just want to let you know that I'm going to either need to be able to work from home because I still work a 9 to 5 too and be able to work from home for 3 days out of the week. And they're like, okay, well, we'll see what we can do. It's already figured out for me. Either you're going to do what I need you to do, or you're going to choose not to. But guess what? I can fall back. Why? Because I've also established and created a business that generates revenue. Why? Because I've married a spouse that can handle the responsibilities that come with our house if I can't produce $1. Yes. So put yourself in a position where you have choices and opportunities. So when people mistreat you, misdirect you, you can say, oh, thank you. I appreciate you. But this doesn't work for me, right? So that's what I'm ranting about. What I am raving about, this has been an interesting week. What am I raving about? Can it be like something real simple? So I found Creter's popcorn, CRETORS, right? Don't be judging because I'm a fat ass in spirit. Like I found this popcorn that they only sell at Target, and I am so addicted, right? So addicted. Apparently it's in Chicago and it's like cheese and caramel, but your girl be having whole moments.
Oh my God, that is so good. I never had that brand. But I can't think of the brand. It's another brand that just started doing it. It's cheese and caramel.
Yeah. Honey. And they only sell it in Target. And so just the FYI, I'm kind of like, they say I'm like half bougie. Like I can't be going. I don't do Walmart. I got to go to Target for all of my essentials and stuff. If I need to pay $1 more, your girl's just going to pay $1 or $2 more. And I need my people to greet me with a smile. I can't be having your attitudes. I ain't built for your long lines. I need to be able to go and get in and get out. But that popcorn, it will save your life. I'm going to need y'all to get it. Creter's. CRETORS.
I see it $3.29 at Target. So try this brand. It's Smart Food.
I do.
They have it at Target, and I would think I would look at. Here go the dumb ignorant black side of me. Ready? I'm gonna say that the Smart Food tastes better because it's 50 cents more.
Look at you looking for exclusivity. Elitism in your popcorn.
Yes. Can I share with the people? Please, if you guys have social media, follow my Instagram. It's Trey Real. That's TREREAL. If you guys are into podcasts, I just started a new podcast. A friend of mine and I. It's called Let's Talk About It, Sis. And sis is spelled S-U-S. It's like homage to the gay community because, what's up, sis? So let's talk about it, sis. And we talk about everything under the sun. We talk about the real, the raw, the queer, the politics, the ins, the outs, the black, the white, all of it. So
and can I just say, I love y'all energy together and watching y'all. Like, so it's so dope. So if y'all haven't realized by now, I only connect myself to dope people. So I need y'all to run over to Trey. You're going to be like, oh, I get it now. He be going from corporate to hood to in between to righteous to ratchet. Like, those are my folks. So go ahead and give it one more time. Tell them one more time.
Yes. It is Let's Talk About It, sis. That's S-U-S. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere. You also can find like our Facebook page. It's Let's Talk About It, sis. We do stream live from we do live video streaming when we record via Facebook and YouTube. So you can like our Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube so we can get our damn page monetized. And just come over and bust it up with us. Like, it's really a good time. We love for the people to get in and join in the conversation. Right now, what's been on my radar, and I'm just like, Jada, all you got to do is pull the table up in one chair. What's taking you so long?
You know what's taking so long?
What's taking you so long?
You got to train with that good publicist shit.
Yeah.
Oh, so let's open up a little bit next week, because as we get into our next topic, let's open up a little bit about the Jada and the August Alsina thing, because there is such a double standard. One when it comes, like when it comes to men and women, there was
yeah, so, it's absolutely a double standard.
So let's talk about it a little bit next week.
And it's also a double standard for men, for him to be a black man, and you see a lot of men is like he's a pussy and this, that, fertile and all that stuff. You don't have the right to say his emotions. He's hurt.
And then let's talk about the fact that he's 20 and she's a whole grown woman. And
21 years his senior. 21 years his senior.
And also, just another little layer we can add to it is when it comes to polyamory in general, we automatically assume that it's just sexual and we don't talk about the emotional components.
Yes. But then we're gonna have to need to, oh my God, yo. Do you have our next topic?
So we had a couple on the table.
We gotta talk about polyamory in the black community.
So hold it. We'll talk about it.
We gotta talk about that.
So the topic, because we can see how we just doing things on the fly for y'all. So we're gonna talk about a little bit about like relationships and the state of them. And like back to the conservative ways and how we see things. We can talk a little bit about how we protect predators.
Yes.
That was actually our topic a little bit. Is how we protect predators. So let's talk.
Black people. Oh my God. Did you watch us last night?
I did not see all of you last night.
All right, so we recorded last night, and that was one thing I was like, I was saying about Nicki Minaj. Why I don't like Nicki Minaj. Because her brother was raping his stepdaughter, 12 years old, and they found the semen in her panties. So to me, it wasn't an allegation. That was hard, concrete evidence. And you still pay for his fucking legal defense.
Legal fees.
I'm not doing it.
So next week, I need you to join Trey and I back here next Thursday at 8 p.m. as we talk about sex, pedophilia, and predatory behavior within the Black community. Come, bring your tea, bring your wine, show up. And again, and we are not sensitive. So one of the reasons that Trey and I decided to do this together is because we ain't scared of y'all. So if you have comments that you don't necessarily agree with, we ain't going to necessarily jump on you, but we all going to talk about it. So I need you to bring them on into the conversation. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Talk to you soon.
Bye, y'all.